I don't really know what to take from this game, and I don't think a lot of Texas fans know what to take. Honestly, we've seen weird scores today. Indiana and Ohio State. Ohio State only won that game by 20. They're a much better team than Indiana. They should have beat them by more. We should have beat Rice by a little bit more. Honestly, the real score was probably about 37-3 because we took out most, if not all, of our starters going into the fourth quarter. I believe they were in for a drive on offense. The offensive line at least was in, but Malik Murphy had gotten in at that point. So I don't really know how to judge this. I guess next week that'll be the primary factor for me, how to judge this team, because offense, defense, very good. The defense is good. I have no questions about that. They're going to be probably a top 25 defense in the country. Can that offense be as good as last year? And then hopefully they should be able to take the next step under Steve Sarkisian in his third year at the helm, especially with him being an offensive coach. If we had a defense coach, I would understand why the offense isn't as good as the defense at this point. But let's get into it. So Quinn Ewers, guys, came out, played 3 quarters. I thought he was pretty good. I thought the thing obviously he needs to work on, just like last year, was the deep ball. His deep ball was off. And on deep ball, it's your timing, and you could see that the timing wasn't there. But a lot of it had to do with the offensive line. He wasn't able to step into throws and be as accurate as he needed to be, or be on time like he needed to be, because of the offensive line, in my opinion. There was one where he had Xavier Worthy, I believe it was deep, and he had to throw off his back foot. It might have been A.D. Mitchell, but he threw off his back foot. He threw it like 45 yards, which was insane. He didn't even plant his foot. He was literally like, his front foot was hovering, and he just went like this. And it was a good throw for what he was doing there. But again, he has to be able to set his feet, set, and then get up in the pocket and throw that ball. And he wasn't able to do that. Christian Jones, I can't believe I'm saying this, played well today. Best offensive lineman by far. I think Jake Majors played pretty good. Kelvin Banks played his worst game in college. DJ Campbell did not play well at all. And then Hayden Connor was probably the third best offensive lineman today at the left guard position. But Majors and Jones, who have been on the offensive line the longest, played decent. The other 3 guys were not very good, in my opinion. And we didn't get consistent push. There were plays where we'd blow them off the ball and the running backs would be able to do something, but that was very rare. Overall, it wasn't a great game at all for the offensive line. It really concerned me. But Quinn Ewers, again, he was 19 for 30, 260 yards, 3 touchdowns throwing. He had 1 rushing as well, 0 interceptions. Speaking of the rushing, he had 8 attempts for 12 yards and 1 touchdown. But I think they sacked him 3 times, so that you have to take that into account. Again, the offensive line, communication wasn't there. The push consistently up front wasn't there. Passing, I thought they did honestly a better job than running, just by a bit. It wasn't by much. And again, we'll talk about them. We'll just throw them up there because they have to be better, guys. I thought this unit going in, and a lot of people did, it was a top 10 offensive line in the country. If they play like that, they're nowhere near that. They're probably in like the 30 to 40 range, honestly. If they can just be good, they don't have to be great. If they can be good, not even top 10, if they're a top 15 offensive line in the country, I think this team has easily a Big 12 championship in store, because the defense was phenomenal. We're at that point on the defense where we're rotating. Brock Eward was talking about it. We had 12 guys rotating consistently on the defensive line, and we lost nothing. Ethan Burke, by the way, fantastic game, had a sack and a half, could have had more. He missed one at the end, could have had 2.5 sacks. I really like him. I liked what I saw from Alfred Collins. I really like what I saw from T'Vondre Sweat. If he keeps that up and T'Vondre Sweat can be that good consistently throughout the rest of the season, he's probably going to be a 2nd or 3rd round NFL draft pick. That's how good he was today. He was very good. Byron Murphy was very good as well. Honestly, hats off to the defensive line. They were definitely the best part of the defense, and definitely the best part of Texas today. I thought Jaylan Ford back to his absolute menacing ways at the middle linebacker position. Great interception from him. Led the team in tackles today. I think he only had 5, but again, we're rotating so many people. His tackles will probably be lower than last year because of that, but he is such a good player, guys. Honestly, I didn't see as much as from Anthony Hill as I thought I would, or I wanted to see. Malik Muhammad, I did see a lot of, and I actually saw him more out there than Ryan Watts. That could have been because, honestly, JT Daniels didn't have much time to throw that football, guys. He got sacked a couple times, I believe 2 or 3 times, and then there was constant pressure. Like every drop back, he had to get rid of that thing in under 3 seconds. Otherwise, it turned into either an incompletion or a turnover. He had a couple turnovers today. Austin Jordan with an interception, and Jaylan Ford also with an interception. So overall, the Texas defense was very good. I was very impressed. They answered some of my questions. Jaron Thompson, for whatever reason, didn't start because of disciplinary reasons. I don't know what those reasons are. I don't know if Sark has said them after the game or what was up with that, but he came in and played well when he did play. I like this team. I like the depth on the defense. It really comes down to the offensive line. If the offensive line, again, can be good and then Quinn Ewers can hit the deep ball, I think, honestly, we have a really good chance here, guys. I think there's a lot of opportunity to grow here. I think people are overreacting because it's the first game of the season. And it sucks because um, that's what people do. It's the first week of football and people want to jump to these conclusions. I think you get coaches will tell you the biggest jump for teams is from week 1 to week 2. And I'm hoping we can take that jump. I'm interested to go see Alabama play after I hop off here, watch them a little bit, how they do with Milroe. He is starting. Wouldn't shock me if they rotate in a quarterback. But that's why I'm not going to take on a lot from this game, guys. I just want to see us produce better. Like we hopefully what we do at Alabama obviously is better in this game. We'll have to see. The play calling I didn't have an issue with. And honestly, I think it's just about the execution at this point. I think it really doesn't have much to do with the play calling. It's the execution on the offensive line, the communication on the offensive line. The only thing that I would say that needs to be worked on a lot from Quinn Ewers is the deep ball. If I'm Steve Sarkisian, I'm throwing the deep ball 80% of the time in practice. The guy underneath can throw it, complete 70 to 80% of his passes. Intermediate, he could easily complete 60, 70% of his passes. He really struggles with the deep ball, and he really needs to get that down because for this offense to be unlocked, you have to hit at all 3 levels. And he just hasn't been able to do that. He has level 1 and level 2 down. He does not have level 3 down. I'm really hoping he can get that under control. But I will say, I think a bright spot on this offense, guys, was the running backs. I really liked what I saw from the running backs. I liked what I saw from Jonathan Brooks. I really, really like what I saw from Jaden Blue. Jaden Blue could not be contained. And then when he got hit the first time, he never went down. He had really good contact balance. He's a very good running back. If people forget, this guy coming out 2 years ago was the #1 ranked running back in his class. That's how good of a player he is. He's a very good player. I'm really excited to see what Jaden Blue can do for this team. I really like Jonathan Brooks. He should have caught the one ball. That's the only thing I have an issue with him. I think Jaden Blue's probably better in that area. Jonathan Brooks looked very smooth. Cedric Baxter broke off the one long run and then got hurt, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that injury isn't too big, but I don't think we'll miss him that much, honestly. He's a very awkward runner to me. He runs very high. I think people said that. I think someone said he runs a lot like Adrian Peterson. He's very like straight up, which is very awkward to see. You don't see that very often from running backs. So I'm wondering if he'll be taught to, lower down a little bit, drive through the hips when he does get contacted, or he's just that big to where it doesn't really matter. We'll have to see, guys. I don't know. It'd be interesting what the coaches have to say about that. But the question that did get answered today is who the backup quarterback is. And it's clearly Maalik Murphy. We go into the third quarter up 37-3. About 10 seconds left. You see Maalik Murphy come in. So he's the backup quarterback. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see Arch because we weren't able to execute. The first half was honestly just not good at all on offense. Obviously, going into the third quarter, we played a much better on offense. 3 drives, 3 touchdowns. Jatavian Sanders showed his breakaway speed and what I love about him. So very good for him and very good overall, or much better overall in the third quarter. But that has to be consistent. Again, I want to see consistency with the team. That's the number one thing. We've always seen flashes under coaches. Hell, we had flashes under Charlie Strong. The issue has been consistency. I want to see consistency. I'm going to keep saying that because we have to have it. If you want to play at the University of Texas, I think Steve Sarkisian has said that you have to have a standard of excellence. And so far, I've seen that in areas. I think the defense was, again, played to that standard. I think the running backs played to that standard. I think the wide receivers played to that standard. I even think Quinn Ewers played pretty good. I wouldn't say up to that standard, but he played pretty good. The offensive line has to get better. It has to. We have way too much depth. We have way too much talent. Hopefully, it was just communication issues on the offensive line. If it wasn't, and it was actually the players, it's very concerning. I'm really hoping it was just the fact of you're putting in DJ Campbell, his first ever college start. He's very talented, obviously, but he's never played before, and it was more of a communication thing. I'm really hoping that's what it was, because if it wasn't, it's going to suck, guys. That could be the one thing that jeopardizes us from playing in the Big 12 championship game is the offensive line. And I'm really hoping that isn't the case, because we're talented and and we have a lot of guys that are going to play in the NFL. Quinn Ewers is going to play in the NFL. I think Jonathan Brooks will play in the NFL. I think Cedric Baxter will play in the NFL. I think Jaden Blue will play in the NFL, especially after watching him today. We have like 3 or 4 wide receivers that are going to play in the NFL. We have a bunch of guys on defense that are going to play in the NFL. The offensive line that cannot be the weak point. It can't. We have too good of an offensive line coach for it to be the weak point. We have too good of players. We have to get that shit settled down. We really do. And it's going to be frustrating if it doesn't.